Coming up on this program, we show you how to get connected. Find out how to choose an internet service provider. Discover the newest form of communication, electronic mail.
Ways down and ready to ride. One by one, billion by billion, they're holding up half the sky. Raise your hand if you're ready and willing, if you know it's time. Time for a girl on time. Time for a girl on time. Time for a
Hello, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. We need to have a little debrief before we get going with this case today. It is going to be a bit of a doozy. I want you to be prepared for that. I know we have a lot of animal lovers in the chat, and I just feel the need to explain that. So just keep that in mind. Protect your mental health, of course. But before we get to all of that, I would love if you told me what you had for dinner. Look at the green screen fucking up right behind me. I would love it if you told me what you had for dinner. If you didn't like what you had for dinner, go ahead and tell me what you wish you had for dinner. I wish I had mashed potatoes, gravy, Yorkshire pudding, and roast beef. That's what I wish I had. What did I have? Nothing yet, but I will eat after this. But that's what I wish I had. So you tell me what you had for dinner, or if you didn't like what you had for dinner, tell me what you wish you had. Paul, lasagna, chips, dips, and cheesy poofs. That sounds delicious. I love it. Yes, do keep that in mind today, folks. Ooh, veggie chicken and rice. What's veggie chicken and rice? Is that like chicken? Is that like a stir fry? Casey Carey? I know you're a cook for your roommate / ex-boyfriend, just like me. Oh, Rachel, steak stuffed with mozzarella and veggies. Yes, please. Yeah, I'm into that. Ooh, pizza on sale from Domino's. You know, I've become a Papa John's kind of girl. Also, Courtney asking the real questions here. How did you get the mozzarella in the steak, Rachel? Oh, wait, was it one of those, you know, what do they call those? It's not the fillet, it's the other one, the round one. And then you could cut it open and then stuff it. I think it's like the taller baseball steak. I'm pretty sure. Oh, a gyro wrap for lunch, Cindy. That sounds delicious. Bacon and bagel bites. I had a 3 stacked BLT the other day for lunch. The only thing missing, avocado. That was the only thing missing. Chris, you're having lots of water. How's the pneumonia? I've been thinking about you. We're worried. Please get better. Dr. Green Thumb is here. Oh, and look at Cindy just said this. And when I read it, I read cream and I thought, ice cream. I snuck ice cream and I'm keeping it in the downstairs freezer because nobody is unlazy enough to go get that except for me. So, I am excited for that later. I might just binge on some ice cream. Okay, yes, and string. Okay, so it's the bigger steaks. Cut them open, put it on, tied it up. I fucking like it, Rachel. I'm into it. Oh, he didn't know? Wow, that's a win. I have these mushroom like Beyond Meat burgers that I've been making, but he sussed me out right away. I missed you. Also, thank you, Casey Carey. Streamlabs. Get the program! Get the program! Actually, I bought chicken burgers the other day that go in the air fryer. Haven't eaten them yet, but I bought them because, first of all, they were on sale, and you know I'm a girl for a sale. Right? I'm a girl for a sale. Cindy's asking a real question here, so let's just address this before we get going. You have a biopsy scheduled for tomorrow at 6:30. Any advice? Yes. Hold on. Yay, Casey Carey! My real advice, Cindy, is make sure that you point out where they... Ah! Chris is gifting memberships. Look at that, Sherry. Seriously, make sure that they know the spot they're supposed to be biopsying. I know that sounds crazy, but that's actually good advice. I'll tell a quick little story and then we'll get going, because this is a pretty long case, and like I said, it's a triggering one. But when I went, I have an IUD, a Mirena IUD, and I left one in for way too long. ADHD, all that kind of stuff. And so when I went to get it out, I talked to the doctor and I said, hey, like, we actually, you know, I had a bad reaction when it was getting put in. Like, I should go to the hospital and get this done. She's like, that's totally great. No problem. So I go to the hospital to get it done. And when you go to the hospital in Canada, they give you a bracelet. And then when you're about to go under, they ask you to confirm all your information on the bracelet. And I was trying to be funny. Well, I will always try and be funny. But they were like, okay, repeat back your name. And so I like screeched out my name, like loud as can be. Everybody in that room jumped a little bit. And then they said, okay, and what are we here for? And then you have to tell them what they're there for. So I'm like, Paisley, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, okay. And I'm like, here, take one IUD out, put another one in. Good drugs on board, please. And they're all laughing at me because I'm like yelling in this fucking operating room. And I'm just like laughing. I'm like, well, I don't know. I want you to make sure you know what's going on here. So, and that worked out fine. I think it'll be fine, Cindy, especially if it's a boob. You know what? They're resilient fuckers. That's what I know about breasts. I have tortured some breasts. Okay, seriously. You drew on your son's left kidney when he needed a biopsy. Very smart. That's smart. That's the way to do it. I mean, they actually make that mistake sometimes. They like get the wrong side or whatever. Wow, I'm so shiny today. It's because I had a shower. It's amazing what cleaning yourself will do. Okay, so like I said, I need to give you guys a warning. This is jarring. I listened to part of this while it was on live, and it was jarring to me. Okay? And usually when things are jarring to me, I like to go and share them with somebody. You know? Oh, and Cindy, here's something good. The reality is that because if you did breastfeed, you have a marked lowering risk of breast cancer. So you can keep that in the back of your mind. That's what I'm keeping myself going with. I actually looked up to get a mammogram. I was like, I think I probably need one. I think we're there. But apparently we're not. In Canada, they don't give them to you till you're 40. So that's the way that is. Anyways, okay. So, like I said, jarring case. I actually don't know if I'm going to have to fucking bleep part of it or how we're going to handle this. But we'll deal with it as it comes. That's what she said.
So we're live streaming. There we go.
Oh,
So we're now
judge, wait. we already did that case. Now, also, you guys, this is the fly trap case. These people have a fly trap out, and I think to myself every time, like, you're seeing that. I'm seeing this. It's bothering me. It's my green screen. You're seeing a fly trap behind you, and yet you're good with it? I have so many questions. Buckle up. Let's go.
All right,
Oh, where's my
so
joint?
let me
I
get
rolled
every.
it. Oh, we're good. I got it. I found it. I need that. This is your moment to light your joint at home too. Take a dab, take a drink, prepare.
Everybody under oath while I have you here. I'll just stay seated. Ms. Wilsford, raise your right hand, the other right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, Mr. Deal, raising your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the deal?
I
All
do.
right. And Mr.
Hold on. She fucked that up. She fucked that up. Did she just say, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the deal? And his name is Mr. Deal? Is that what just happened? We gotta go back and listen again.
All right, so let me get everybody under oath while I have you here. I'll just stay seated. Ms. Wilsford, raise your right hand, the other right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, Mr. Deal, raising your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the deal?
I
All
do.
right. And Mr. Hudspeth, raising your right hand. Mr. Hudspeth, you there? Swear to tell
Yes.
the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You've got someone else with you there?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And
Raise my hand.
Mr. Hudspeth, are you going to be calling this person as a witness or,
Yes, yes, ma'am.
and who is this person?
This is my wife.
What is her name?
Oh,
Melissa Cheeseman, Cheeseman.
Okay, so when I put you under oath, while I've got you, Ms. Cheeseman, raise your right hand with me. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, all right. And Mr., let's see, Mr. Deal, there's
Yeah.
concern?
Your Honor, there has been 3 times where the cops.
Slow down, I'm not taking testimony right now. This
Okay.
is organized.
Okay,
I will ask you.
no, I
but
was just saying
stop,
she's never been.
Stop.
Okay,
I'm not gonna have anybody talk out of turn.
okay.
We're gonna do this in an organized fashion. It's recorded and it gets confusing if everybody starts talking over each other. So first things first. So Ms. Wilsford, are you still asking for an order against Mr.
I
Hudspeth?
am.
Okay, Mr.
Yes.
Deal, are you still asking for an order
Yes, Your
against
Honor.
him? All right. Mr. Hudspeth, do you object to an order issuing against you?
yes, I do.
Okay, all right, know where we're headed. So as I said before to folks, you may not have noticed, I'm looking at a couple of screens here. Our files are electronic. Generally, the things that you filed are electronic, so I need to look at that. I am listening, but I need to also look at the things that you filed while you're telling me things and to kind of see if there's some
Yes,
questions I have. So I am listening. So you both filed petitions and they seem.
Listen, Paul, I am not hating on people that are poor. I look over in my house and I see a bed sheet hanging. It's on a thing, but it's besides the point. It's dividing the room. I get it. Okay? I ain't hating on anybody that's poor. You can rip a fly strip down. You can move it. And they've been sitting here for an hour. So I just feel like it's not about being poor. It's just about thinking about that, like optics. Like I don't have the bed sheet probably would be fine too, but the fly trap it's yucky. And I've had fly traps in my house. I get that. Also, NPC. Thank you so much. Hi. Some people need to express their poorness. Okay, Paul, you know what? Fine. You're right. You win. I lose. I express my poorness by my gray hair. I have so much of it, it's actually almost overtaking my regular hair. But that's part of the way that I express my poorness. NPC, thank you so much. Why is that not popping up? Streamlabs. LaDude. Thank you so much. All right, let's go. And you know what? Here's the thing. Fly strips are gross, but they work. I mean, I get it. But they've had an hour. They could take that down. Right?
To be, well, let me just review real quick here and why I want everybody to have a fair shake here. I just think it might be most efficient to hear things together because they look like the petitions, if I remember right, were kind of written all at the same time, alleging the same issues. Let me just re-review as alleged here.
Oh, I feel for you. Sending you good vibes. Christopher, go to bed.
So-
Please get better.
We'll start with Ms. Wilsford,
Judge.
and then I'll turn to Mr. Deal, and then I'll turn.
Sorry, Christopher. Please feel better. We love you so much. Worried about you. We are all shaking our boobs, ladies. I'm hoping to go back to the gym starting next week, you guys. Get containment on some of this jiggle. You know, this jiggle. The wiggle. Thank you so much, Chris. Streamlabs, you're taking so long. It's embarrassing. Thank you. There we go. I mean, you know what? We have to look at the positives, right? Look at the positives. And again, this is gonna be more negative than positive, this case. Hi, Loud. How you doing? I'll try. I work on it. Jiggle is not bad. Oh, you're so sweet. And you know what? It's so interesting when people pay their bills and then you run out of money or whatnot. And then a lot of people that appear to be doing really well, in fact, they just live in debt. But we're here for you, and I'm glad to hear it's not too long on the agenda. We know. Testimony will be the key thing. Paul, if you like dogs, well, prepare yourself. Hey, Bill, at least you've got consistency on your side with something, right?
And Mr. Hudspeth to respond to all that. And so Ms. Wilsford then filed a petition, granted a temporary order against Mr. Hudspeth. I know the background, you wrote it. I'm presuming this is your handwriting in this petition?
is.
Okay. And so this all started out over some argument about a dog, but what unlawful harassment do you think was directed at you?
I saw him pointing the gun to our property.
Okay, so describe your property and their property and all that.
Our property is here, and then his pasture's here. And then there's a home here and then
So there's your house and then a
a
pasture and then a
pasture,
fence?
a small pasture, yes.
Okay, and then a fence?
And yeah, fence.
And then more pasture that belongs?
No, there's a home in between the pasture and our home and his pasture. There's a home there, and then on the other side is his home.
All right, so maybe I don't understand it. So your home,
Yes.
and then is there your pasture or someone else's?
No, it's his pasture.
Okay, your home, is there a fence after your home before the
Yes,
pasture?
we
All
have
right.
a pasture and a fenced in.
Okay, so then your home, the fence, pasture that belongs to Mr. Hudspeth, and then his home.
Yes, I used to rent that pasture for my horses.
So what portion of your house faces his house and what portion of his house?
Yeah, his home, it's all straight across. It's like, here's
Your
his
front door,
house.
your back door, what?
If I walk out my back door and turn and come on to the sidewalk, you can see straight across. You can see through the pasture, my neighbor's house, and you can see his vehicle, you can
You
see,
see his back door, his front door, the side of his house?
we can see his front door.
What the fuck is on her head? What is the blue thing? We have things going on we gotta break down here, folks. Okay, are those barrettes in her hair? I think they are barrettes in her hair. I don't even have barrettes anymore. But they do appear to be at least 2 large barrettes. And then what is on this woman's head? There's a blue sticker, it appears, and she's holding shit up to the camera. What in the hell is on her forehead? Oh, it gets so much worse. I didn't look at these people when I was listening to this. I was working on my 11,000 piece diamond painting that's finished. Yes, you heard that right. Paisley finished something that was 11,000 pieces individually, one at a time. It's insane. I don't have carpal tunnel. Actually, it's not. Anyways, regardless. I can't show it to you guys though because it's for a friend that actually watches the channel. So I cannot show you before I send it to them. So I'm sorry. I wish I could, but I've been keeping this secret because it is for somebody that I know watches the channel occasionally, and I just can't risk it being sussed out beforehand. Aw, so sweet. Now, here we go. What is the blue thing a pimple patch? Is that what they call them? I say from my place of very clear skin, thank God, but yeah, I know those exist. No, it's a diamond painting. I'll show you a diamond painting that I did. Hold on. I'm gonna break something while I do this. Almost 100% gonna break something. There we go. Got it. Off the wall. This is another diamond painting that I did. So you can see, like, they're raised off the thing. They're all different colors and little diamonds. It's not this one. This one I've done before. But the other, it's a different one. And it's 11,000. I think this is maybe 1,500. Anyways, this was one of my best diamond art pieces as well. This cost $4, by the way, at the dollar store. What a great craft. I was so happy about it. Proud. Still proud. Hangs on my wall. I just took it off the wall. Okay. And it is diamond painting by numbers. Yes, Bill. Literally diamond painting by numbers. and they send you little bags and all these little things, and then you put them on one at a time with a little pen. And yeah. And the page is already sticky, so you don't even have to put the glue down. It's addictive.
And I can see his like, and his driveway right there.
Okay, so it's the side of your house that faces his front
Yes.
door and parking area. All right.
Yes.
And is the fence like have slats or is it solid?
No, it's a fence. It's regular like cow
Does
fencing.
it have
It's,
any, so cow fencing or what?
it's wire fencing.
Okay,
on
so
the-
chain link,
not chain
No,
link. It's
but
just.
it's wire and
like-
you can see
Yeah,
through it.
it's wire fencing. Yes.
So you can see through it.
Mm.
And then you see across that pasture and then you see his parking area and his front door.
Yes.
Okay. So you say that sometime, let's see, when you came into court August 26th,
Mhm.
when did you say you saw Mr. Hudspeth pointing a gun at your property?
It was. I don't remember the date. I can't remember the dates because.
Well,
I'm
August
not-
26th, you came into court, it was a Monday.
It was 2 weeks before. It was the first week of, it had to be the first week of August or the second week of August. I'm dyslexic and
Okay.
I have
So a
problems.
couple of weeks before that?
Yes,
So why did you wait 2 weeks to come to court?
I was going on vacation and, where my sister lives, they don't have, well, they have internet, but usually our phone and stuff doesn't calculate out in the country. So I couldn't get internet access to the thing, to your thing. So,
So you were going on vacation away from your house?
yes, and I already
And-
had that ticket ready for like 3 months
Okay,
to go to my sister. I visit with my mom every year.
right. So that you were leaving the property. And so was there some sense that you didn't have to worry about it? Or is it just mostly because you couldn't get internet connection?
Internet connection, and I talked with the lady over here and where that files those papers. I did talk with her and she said it would have been, because I came in several times and she said it would have been best for me to file it, that way I can be with the judge.
Yeah.
Um,
So, all right, so you see sometime 2 weeks before the 26th, so sometime early mid-August, and that Mr. Hudspeth is pointing a firearm. What
Yes.
did you see? What was the firearm?
I
What did it look
walked
like?
out, it was a handgun.
Handgun?
Yes,
all
and
right.
when I walked out, he was holding the handgun and he was pointing straight across
So how was he holding it?
like this.
So as if he was pointing the barrel
Yes.
at your property?
Yes,
Were you, I mean, you saw him doing it. Where were you?
I was come out my back door and I stopped. When I made that little turn on my steps, I stopped and I looked straight across and he had the gun pointing over and then he put the gun back into his holster and then pulled it out again and pointing it straight across. So I backed up and went into the house. Yeah, I didn't know my son and his friend were sitting outside at the time. So
And where were your son and his friend sitting?
they were.
I will not hear from people out of turn. Keep your hands down. If there are witnesses to hear from, I will hear them at the appropriate time.
Yes.
I'm now talking with Ms. Wilsford and she needs my attention. So, Ms. Wilsford, then where was your son, who is Mr. Deal?
I didn't even know they were out there. I didn't know they
When
were.
did you figure out that they were out there?
Yeah, I figured it out when he came in and told my
And
husband.
Mr. Deal's your son?
Yes.
Okay.
I figured it out when he came in and talked to my
Where-
husband.
And so where were they?
They were actually in our driveway out in the front where I couldn't see them because I hadn't
Okay.
made that final turn yet.
So the front of your house, is that the other side?
It's
facing
like-
now, or is it 90
it's-
degrees?
When you walk out this way and then you make a slant like this, our front of our house is like this, or the front where
So
we
it's
park
like
our
90
cars.
90 degrees from the fence?
Yeah, it's,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So they're out there and you see Mr. Hudspeth point a handgun in the direction of your house, and then you're there, and he pulls it out again.
Yeah,
And any impediment, any reason why he couldn't have seen you?
no, he wouldn't have been really able to see me because kinda if he was looking in that direction, but I think when I walked out, I kind of turned, I wasn't even completely off our little back deck. And I stepped down and I looked straight across and then I backed up and then
Okay, so your thought is he didn't know you were there?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
So why do you think that was directed then at you? I mean, or
Well,
is it something
the
different?
incident happened on the I want to say the 29th or 28th about my dog.
Mhm.
And my dog got out on accident and she went over to his property and I was called from work and my husband and my son and his friends told me about it and I was just finishing up work, so I made it home and I called, or no, when I got home, I fussed out everybody because I thought they left the gate
You
open.
get home and you found out that what happened to your dog,
Yes, I posted it on Pet Finder.
but
And-
ultimately you found out that your dog, what happened?
What happened to my dog? She was supposedly chasing his pig and he slit her throat from ear to ear.
So how do you know he did that?
He told, because I was, I,
How do you know he did that? How do you know Mr. Hudspeth did that?
I put it on Facebook before I
Where did
realized,
you find your dog?
well, I put it on Facebook.
Yeah, if you didn't catch that, he slit the dog's throat from ear to ear. Not really. He admits to it.
Facebook saying that she was missing and a lady had sent me a message saying, I hope this is not your dog. And she said, and he posted it on the site saying that he killed my dog, slit her throat because she was chasing his pig, attacking the pig. And she goes, I hope this isn't your dog. And I realized I realized because it was
Mr. Hudspeth, you're talking about?
yes, yes. And so I left it alone at night because I was very upset
Mhm.
and I didn't want to start trouble. But anyway, so I called the cops the next morning and I said, can we retrieve our dog? Because I told them what happened. I said I wanted to bury her, on our property. And the cop asked me what happened and I told him. And so he said, I'll call Mr. Hudspeth because I told him who he was and stuff. And he said that the dog had jumped on his pig and and the cop asked him if his pig was okay. And he said she had a few scrapes and some ears. And then he asked him, he said, well, can Mrs. Wilsford's husband come and get my dog? And he let him come get my dog. And then we left it
So
alone.
who went over to get the dog?
My husband,
Okay,
my husband.
and so you saw on Facebook the respondent putting something on Facebook,
Well,
Okay.
it was a lady that sent it to me.
but it was a posting by Mr. Hudspeth.
Yes,
All right,
yes,
and so then you find your dog, your husband brings your dog home,
yes.
and did you see that your dog had?
He wouldn't let me look at her.
Okay,
He didn't want me to, because
all
I
right.
very,
Did you ever have discussions yourself with Mr. Hudspeth about this?
no, we were
Okay.
told to leave it be, by the police officer.
All
We
right.
were told, don't say a word, just leave it alone, let it
So you didn't talk about this at all with Mr. Hudspeth then?
No,
All right.
uh-uh.
And then that was the end of July, and then sometime the middle of August, no later, you're coming out of your house and he's pointing a handgun towards your house. Is that
Yes.
right? Is there anything in between that?
Yeah,
The same case, Nevar, or a different one? If it's the same case, yeah, that happens. I knew about this on Monday. I had to sit with this case for a few days before I decided that we would watch it. But it's possible that Colin showed it. Unfortunately, I don't have as much time as I would like to watch all my other channels. But if it was a separate case, I'd be very interested in that. We're gonna hear him speak. Oh, a different case. He was in the background. Oh, well. Oh, was it the lady wearing the blue sweater? The stalker lady? We watched her earlier. This is very bad neighbor behavior, though. I'm sorry, I get that it's allowed, but this is over the top to me. I found it, I was fucking horrified as I heard her say this. You can tell she's telling the truth, that's trauma. Do you hear her, the way she's speaking? That is trauma. And if she indeed, the guy slit her dog's throat, and then later on she sees him with a fucking gun, yeah, I would want a TPO too. I'm falling on her side at this point.
there is some
Okay.
in between. He rode his tractor. I wasn't out there for this. He rode his tractor around to the pasture, and his cows, like a couple weeks before, had pulled our tarp over on the other side of the pasture. And my husband fixed it, but they did it again. And there was some cup and another piece of trash or something on there, and it blew in his pasture. And I really didn't pay any attention because it wasn't like we dumped trash over there. We just kind of, that little piece of trash had went over there. And he started screaming and hollering about trash being on his property and how the neighbors, did that. We were dumping stuff on his property. And my son tried to explain to him what had happened, and he didn't want to hear that. And then he started screaming and yelling. And then from what I understand, my son came in the house and we had a friend there, but, well, my son came in the house and he said, Royal just told.
Yeah, and if he had a hurt pig that was traumatically wounded, I would agree with you. But a dog chasing a fucking pig? I don't agree. And you don't get the right to slit an animal's throat. I'm sorry. Isn't there rules for that? Don't you have to put them down humanely? Seriously, if he had a dead pig on his hands and there's a dead dog, this story isn't the same. But the pig's fine. Both pigs.
So what did you see of this situation? Anything, or is it really
Only
your
thing I
son
see,
that
the
we need to
girl
hear from?
that of the friend, the niece that came into the house, she said she was sitting on the back part of the steps of the little trailer we
I
had.
consider what she's saying. I want to know what you saw.
I didn't see it. I
Okay,
didn't
but
see
you
it
heard
happen.
it from others, and we may hear from others today. So,
Yeah.
all right. So, all right. And so what unlawful harassment do you believe Mr. Hudspeth committed against you?
The gun,
Okay,
the gun.
but you said that you didn't think he saw you or knew you were there.
No, I don't think he saw me because I backed up. And when I backed up and went, because I don't know if he saw me or not. I
Okay.
can't say for sure, but I saw the gun.
Yeah.
And I'm terrified. My husband's in the army and I understand guns where he had to go do that, but I'm terrified because when I was younger, I had a gun pulled out on me by my ex.
Is there anything else that Mr. Hudspeth did that caused you to come, you anyone else here, and we're gonna hear from other folks. But as to you and Mr. Hudspeth, that make that, other than, if this is, he pointed a gun towards your property, which may not be good, but I'm having to find that he intended that you be put in substantial emotional distress. A couple of things I gotta find from that action of pointing the gun in the direction of your home. And you're saying you're not even sure he saw you.
I'm not sure if
Yeah.
he saw me or not.
Is there
I know I
anything
just,
else that he may have done in this time frame?
no,
that
we
you're
used to
worried
be
about?
we used to be good friends.
Okay.
And and I was gonna leave it alone and let it ride. For a while. I wasn't gonna, I was
After
gonna,
the dog was
yeah,
killed?
because she
Okay.
was on his property, but
And what kind of dog was it?
she was a pit boxer mix.
Okay, so how big?
She was about
Oh.
60 pounds.
Okay, all right. All right, so before I turn over to your son, Mr. Deal, anything else?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
So, Mr. Deal, in reading, both, I'm kind of reading both petitions at the
Okay.
same time here, and it looks like there's other information that you may know of about unlawful harassment directed at you. So tell me why you want this order. What is it you think Mr. Hudspeth did?
Okay, after my dog had passed, after that situation with the neighbor, the next, I want to say 2 or 3 days later,
So the neighbor is
what-
Mr. Hudspeth?
Mr. Husband
Okay,
was out in the field that he never comes out into. There's a field on his property that he never comes out, that's close to our house. And he was out in that field, and then he started yelling at me about the garbage. I started telling him that his cows drag our tarps over the fence and have done it multiple times.
and so this was around, was it after?
Um,
your dog was
probably-
killed?
Probably really late July, early August.
Okay, so but it was after your dog was killed?
Yes.
Okay, all right, got it. So, there's this argument.
Yep. So the argument escalates where he's yelling at me. I'm telling him that it's his cows that drag our stuff over the fence. And he starts yelling at me, and then he comes up to the fence within like inch distance of my face and tells me he's gonna slit my throat and shoot me in the head. He's gonna slit my throat like my dog and shoot me in the head.
Okay.
And from that point on, he was so close to me that we're screaming at each other. Some saliva may have flew out of my mouth as say it, don't spray it, but we're out there screaming at each other. And then he was like, he is.
I know this is an odd question for you, but what did you think that meant when he made that? What did you think?
I take him 100% truthful because my dog was not messing with his pig. And he says that my dog was, and he slit its throat from ear to ear. I take him 100% truthful. I don't see
So you
him
thought
not
he
being
was
any
gonna
other
do
way.
that to you,
When he was saying that to me, I see him doing the same thing.
and you believed he would shoot you in the head,
Oh, yeah.
right? And what did you say back? Do you remember?
At that moment, he was like, he assaulted me, call the cops, call the cops. But because of the splatter that was coming out of my mouth while I was screaming, he said I spit on him.
Do you know what you said to him though?
I didn't, it was a lot of commotion. I don't remember.
Okay. I mean,
It
what
was
did-
a lot of,
what
probably
do you
like,
think? Okay.
probably like cursing and defending myself. Like, you can't just come around threatening people like I was screaming and cussing.
Okay.
It was just a
Did
lot
you
of,
make any statements to him that you were gonna harm him in any way?
nope,
Okay. Or get any other people to harm him or his
Nope.
property or,
nope.
okay,
He hasn't been out to that part of the fence since this incident's happened. I've never seen him out at that fence 3 months before this incident happened. Also on that note, the part of when he was standing up against the fence, right up against me, that part of that property is ours.
well, it's
him-
not for me to determine property rights here.
Right,
in
but
this,
I'm just saying it happened on my property where he had been doing all this.
So your mom here, Ms. Wilsford, tells me that you were outside with a friend at the time that she saw Mr. Hudspeth point a handgun at your property. Can, can you tell me anything about that?
So 2 days after, 2 to 3 days
Well, How
after,
about that incident?
yeah, is
Okay.
when he was outside. A couple days
That
after he said he was
argument
gonna,
over the fence About the.
yes,
cows and the-
after he
alright,
said he was gonna shoot me in the head.
All right,
Couple days after, he was standing outside, walking around with his gun on his left side, and he was pulling it out and waving it around. And then like, it was only for like 30 minutes, and then he went back inside. I went into my house and told my dad right away. And
so tell me, so where were you when you saw all this happening?
so our driveway, it comes in this way, and the house is like this. And so the sidewalk that my mom was on is right here.
On the back of
and-
the house?
Yeah, on the side of the house we were sitting, because my camper sits in the driveway. I
Okay,
have a camper parked right in the driveway.
and so the house, is the house, your house between, is your camper and then your house and then the pasture?
So it's my
Yeah.
parent, if we're looking at it from like this,
Mhm.
my parents' house is here. My camper is parked right here on this side of the house.
See, okay,
There's a driveway that goes right past the camper, the
Okay.
driveway, and come into my driveway. There's a field here, and then there's the neighbor's house here, and then beyond that is his house.
okay, all
Yes.
right, that helps. So you see Mr. Hudspeth doing, he's got a holster or? what
He
is
had a
it?
holster on his side, and he
Right.
pulled the gun out, and he was waving the gun back and forth like that.
And you were on the side of your house?
Yes,
Do you think he saw you there? Did you-
yes, I personally believe that he saw me there,
Why do you think that?
because we were sitting directly across from each other.
Okay,
Like I was sitting, so like I said, the driveway's here, and the field is right here. And I was sitting at the end of my camper, where I always sit, looking out that way, and he was 3 fields down from the neighbor's house in between us. Just,
so for about 30 minutes, he's outside,
yes,
and in that 30 minutes, what's he doing?
he was out there walking back and forth from the house to the camper he has.
His
And-
house?
Yes, and he's got a little camper out in his front yard as well. And he was walking from the camper to the house, camper to the house.
Right? And so you were able to see that
Mhm.
from your vantage point. All right. Did he say anything to you?
Nope,
Okay. All right.
just with the previous threats, I was kind of worried. And so I came in and told my dad, and then we called 911.
Okay. All right. I got some questions.
They did call 911. Lends credibility. I would assume the judge is looking at the police reports on her screens. You know how she told us at the beginning? Remember, I'm going to be looking at screens because our files are digital. They don't share their digital files with us. Oh, the glory days of court.
I'm
when
just
we used to get-
re-reviewing the petitions here to see if I got some more questions.
But you and I watch 1,000% more court than these people. We know that. But they don't. That's the thing. The average citizen doesn't engage with the legal system even
So,
close.
Mr. Deal, anything else? Any other people I should hear from?
2 things. One, the day that we went to court and they granted a surrender of his weapon and all that, the next day I was sitting outside as well. I could hear some kind of disturbance, and I looked over there and the cop was over there, I'm guessing, trying to get him to surrender his weapon. The cop left. About 30 minutes later, I seen him walk out with his weapon and get in his car and drive off towards Rochester. And then the next day, the cops came back, and I'm guessing they were still trying to get a surrender. They went in his house. And then we got noticed that he did not surrender a weapon.
So describe for me, you said you saw Mr. Hudspeth leave his house with a weapon. What
Yes.
kind of weapon?
It was like a 9, and it was in his,
So what?
a 9mm,
So a handgun,
a handgun.
right?
And it was in a holster and he was carrying it in his hand the day that the cops came over to serve him, I'm guessing, and to tell him to surrender his weapon.
You know if that was similar to the handgun you saw
Yes,
before?
yes.
All right. And that was after the police
Came over
were
to,
there, and you think they were probably serving him notice of today's hearing?
yes. And it was at 9:30 in the morning on, I want to say on,
You were in court
Wednesday.
on Monday, and so maybe Wednesday.
or
All right.
Tuesday, maybe Tuesday.
Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yep.
Okay. All right. All right, any other folks you want me to hear from?
My friend Tyler's been with me. He's always around. He's came here today
Does he
to,
have information about these events we've talked about?
yeah, he's witnessed, Jim
Okay,
Ag.
I need to hear from him, not
Okay.
you.
Yes, ma'am.
So why don't you come on up here and I'll put you on roster and hear from you. Okay, ready? Raise your right hand, sir. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, why don't you have a seat and then give me your name if you would?
My name is Tyler Pogue. I know these guys for a few years,
Okay, so you know Mr. Deal, how long?
like 3 years.
Okay, and do you know anything about the events that we've been talking about here today?
I do. I seen the pistol. I
Okay,
seen
and
him wave it around. I don't know.
so
what was
you were
wrong.
there when we were talking about Mr. Hudspeth coming out of his house for about 30 minutes with that handgun?
Yeah, I seen it and I duck cover as soon as I seen it.
Okay, so do you agree it was sometime this summer? Do you know when that was, that all happened?
It was like early June, late August. It was,
Okay.
been a while ago.
All right, so what did you see?
It was a semi-automatic modern pistol. It was like a 1911. It was in his holster. He whipped it out, and I don't know why he's waving it around towards the house, up in the ground, down, up. It was weird. Why? I don't
The
know.
house meaning Mr. Deal's house?
Yes, it was
Okay.
towards their house.
All right. And did he say anything?
Oh, I couldn't hear him.
Okay,
It was too.
and you say you hit the ground
Yeah, it hit the ground when I
Why?
seen it because I was afraid
of,
because I've been at school shootings before.
okay. And so you were afraid that he was going to start shooting.
Yeah.
Did Mr. Hudspeth shoot anything? Do you
No,
know?
he didn't fire anything.
Okay,
It was just a crazy sight to see.
and that went on for how long?
Yeah, like maybe take 10 minutes.
Okay, and then what happened?
Um, we didn't try. We didn't try to wave at him. It's just we were just watching what he was doing,
Okay,
and he was just having an episode.
so that just sort of ended and nothing else came up that day.
No.
Okay. All right, any other event that you were there to witness?
Yeah. He was talking to his kids, talking smack across the pasture. It's a very small pasture. This is neighbors. It's very Oreo scrunched in there,
Mhm.
and it's a stone throw away. Hey, it's very close. Yeah, Your Honor.
And so what was going on that has to do with Mr. Deal and Ms. Wilsford?
I don't know where all the spice is coming from, but ever since that evil act with the dog, is out of the blue. It's straight malicious, I think.
So did something happen? You said there was something else that happened. He was talking to his kids.
He was hiding behind his house. I saw him hiding behind his house, instructing the kids to talk profane stuff that they would never say to another person out loud across the yard to him.
Okay, to Mr. Deal. Okay. And so you heard what? What'd you hear from
Strap-
Mr.
uh,
Hudspeth, and what'd you hear from the kids?
it's just mean bullying language. Like I don't want to I don't wanna.
So why do you think Mr. Hudspeth was having,
I
instructing
think
his
it's straight
children to
bullying.
do it?
I think the straight bullying, man.
Okay. And so you believe Mr. Hudspeth was instructing, how old are these kids?
They're easy, 6, 7 years old. They're very young.
All right, so under 10. And you believe he was instructing them on what to say to Mr. Deal.
Yeah,
Okay.
I seen them go verbatim.
Do you know when that happened about?
It was like a week after the gun incident.
Okay, which was after the dog was killed and after the argument at the fence.
Yeah.
Okay. And, okay. Anything else, Mr. Pogue?
This just a bunch of salty instances. So it's the same bullying, like childish bullying behavior.
Okay.
This guy should be working for the Food Network. He's spicy, salty. He's like describing everything. I've never heard people say it like this in fucking court. If you're just getting here, this is a sad case. There's allegations that this dog got unalived. Ugh, it's actually terrible to say it. I don't even want to say it. It makes me feel a little sick. But there's allegations that the guy on the screen in the bottom unalived his neighbor's dog because it attacked his pig. The police were called. The dog was in his yard. They're not alleging that they were. Let's just keep listening.
All right. All right. So, Mr. Deal, is there anyone else I'm supposed to hear from here today?
My husband,
Okay. Anything why don't you come on up here and we'll find out if there's anything relevant and get it all out. So raise your right hand, sir. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Why don't you have a seat over there? And that red lighted thing, you don't have to get too close to it, but that's what's picking up your voice.
Okay.
So your name.
My name is Glenn Wilford, Kelly's husband.
Okay, and so you live also at the same house
I do, Your
we're
Honor.
talking about. So what do you know personally, not what you heard from others, but what you know or saw personally about
All my
this?
information is on the front and the back half. I don't have any personal knowledge of any harassment or gun actions or threats.
Okay. All right.
The information I do have is we actually have been pretty decent neighbors with Royal. He's been pretty good to us. We've been pretty good to him. We've traded favors, decent neighbor stuff. I was the photographer for their wedding. He helped us bury one of our horses that carried away. Not confrontational. We have some minor differences about our property line, not super germane.
we didn't want to.
Whoop, I'm hearing
I'm
from
sorry.
Mr. Wilsford, not
So
you.
sorry, ma'am.
On the day of the threat that was made to my son, I came in on the tail half while the law enforcement was there, but I did not have any pertinent information. I wasn't there.
Okay.
Our niece was there.
Effectively, my testimony is that I saw what he did to my animal. I didn't see any damage to his. I didn't look. My exact words for him is, I'm here for my dog. I really don't want to talk about anything.
So you went over to go retrieve your dog,
Yes.
and what did you see, and what was that contact with Mr. Hudspeth?
I was pushing a wheelbarrow. I was at his front gate, and he came up just as I was gonna open the gate and request permission to go in. He said, "It's back here." He led the way. My animal was nowhere near any of his animals. There's multiple fencing. He raises livestock, various forms of animals that he slaughters on site. My animal was nowhere close to the animal. His pig, I don't know if that's where he did it. I didn't see any blood. He knows how to ethically and humanely put an animal down. That is not what happened to my animal. Not super germane because nobody else in this courtroom knew about that besides me and him. I'm not going to describe it. It was not humane.
Any conversation with Mr. Hudspeth while you were
I
doing that?
refused to talk to him because I was very upset.
Ms. Wilsford, you're gonna have to stay here. You can't leave, but we'll get you some Kleenex. And you, yeah. All right, I'm sorry, Mr. Wilsford. So any conversation, anything transpire between the two of you there?
I literally told him I just did not want to talk to him.
Well, that's what.
I was in a bad state of mind,
Yep.
and anything I said was going to be inflammatory, so I just shut up.
Okay,
He did not say anything inflammatory to me. I did not say anything to him. Everything else is
and you
speculation.
brought your dog home and buried your dog.
And buried my dog.
Okay,
The
so,
one thing I
Yeah.
will say was, I got a good look at his hands and forearms. There wasn't a mark on him. My dog would have more likely to lick the skin off him than it would have. So
That's true. Me neither. I try real hard when I have long cases, Mikey, to do long, sad, depressing cases. But I am blessed, just like Reseller Road Trip Adventures, just like her. I don't have a visual imagery in my mind either. So I'm not seeing any of this. I apologize for all of you that have to visualize it, I guess. But our brains work differently. It's still sad, but, you know. Anyways, hi Mikey, how are you? Your check mark always looks so good. So good. You're almost at 69K. Do you have a special plan? Okay, let's continue because we have to. We're already in it. We're in it. We have to get through it.
there was no threat that my dog presented that required her being put down. And that's why we are so upset. But we're just, at the end of the day, we just want to be left alone. We don't want him to come to our shared property line and instigate, which is what my son had to deal with. We just want to be left alone. We're not trying to punish them. We're not trying to get anything from them. We just don't want to be in fear. I'm not on it because he's never threatened me. I'll deal with the situation as it arises, as the situation dictates. Not a threat, I'm not some big Billy badass or anything like that. He's never threatened me. I've never threatened him. I have no intention of ever doing any of that.
so you share a fence line?
Yes, ma'am. Our property line from the street to our very back pasture is one continuous fence.
Okay,
There's my house, my driveway parallels the fence. His driveway parallels his fence.
right,
There is, the pasture in question is roughly 100 feet. The home between our homes on the other side, our home at a 90-degree to our driveway and our fence line. There's a piece of pasture that connects to his back property. There's a home on a 1-acre lot that sits in between us. Then another fence, his driveway, and the front of his house.
okay.
So his driveway and the front of his property is very similar to where our houses are set up, very similar. It's just the access to driveways are reversed. I go left, he goes right.
Okay, but you do share a fence line.
Not directly between our houses. There's actually a house in between it.
Okay, so, all right.
If you've got a piece of paper, I can diagram it pretty quick. It's
Okay, I'm
very
getting there.
simple.
All right, and so, yeah, actually, that would be comfortable. Kind of, I know it's not to scale, and maybe we can Give you this, you mind coming on up here and do an extra pen or something? Give you a pen. You got
Oh,
a
if there's a
pencil?
time for a Mikey
All right, just if you could do
drawing.
that, and then I'll try and share it with Mr. Hudspeth when we talk. And if you
When a
could just
judge asks
indicate
for an
your
extra pen.
place and Mr. Hudspeth's place.
I just feel like neighborly, you should probably, I don't know. Dog, if you did this around here, people would fucking shoot you. The out of the blue people that you didn't know were, like, we have really pro dog people here. This is an unacceptable crime where I live. It don't matter if the dog's on your property. People don't control their dogs here, and they expect you to fucking deal with it. Do not, and you cannot, slit an animal's throat like that. No. No. I mean, probably, like, you might be technically allowed, but that is not gonna fly. People be freaking out. And I get that it's a different thing in America. And I get that it's even different in other parts of Canada. Many parts of Canada. But where I live in the suburban Victoria, British Columbia, it's not acceptable. And people have micro
It's
pigs.
not quite the scale.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah,
Talk
I
to
mean,
Mr. Hudspeth
placement's a
about
little bit odd.
I understand. Okay.
All right, 187. This is my home, front door. I have a barn and a sidewalk that walks out here. This is our parking area over here. There's a 1 acre lot in between us. Where exactly the house is, I don't know. Their house sits pretty much the same orientation as ours. Front door, rear, they have a large pole building back here. We can see part of this and can see part of this. The house is kind of, depending on where you're standing, you can see the front door, or you can't see the front door.
Okay. And where's the pasture that,
The pasture is all this right here.
okay,
This is literally an entirely separate
yeah,
piece of property that used to be contiguous with that. The daughter sold it, and then
there you go.
the Hudspeth bought the rest.
So
of the
you
property.
don't share a fence that you both have
Yes,
to
we do.
maintain? That
This
fence.
is a fence line that goes. up.
Okay, and so Mr. Hudspeth, and I'll talk to Mr. Hudspeth about what I'm looking at here.
Yeah.
Mr. Hudspeth then has the ability to pass through here and,
Yeah, I mean,
There's a
his
gate.
property, actually, there's no. That's, and then. It's, that squiggly line is actually not there. There's
Okay.
nothing there. It's just open pasture. He has
Got it.
several fences back here that I don't really know how they go. There's a sort of kind of fence that's kind of busted down with openings that blocked off this entire pasture.
okay,
But it's, his cows can walk in and out of, I think he has it set so
Alright.
he can enclose it.
so there's this is,
Yeah, this is all open to my back pasture.
got it.
It's all contiguous to his property here. This is entirely enclosed lot, roughly 1 acre in size,
Okay,
with a trailer house on it.
all right, got it.
I
Thank you.
apologize, but
Nope, that's very helpful,
did
actually.
not go to art class.
So
This
Mr.
is freshman
Hudspeth, we'll talk more about this too. I won't leave you out. It's helpful. All right, so Mr. Wilsford, anything else before I turn to Mr. Hudspeth?
Honestly, no, Your Honor. Also, I'll just reiterate, we just don't want to feel threatened.
Okay. And is Wilsford, anything else before I turn to Mr. Hudspeth?
Yes, and if that was the case, that, I'm not saying my dog attacked his pig, I would have put my dog down. I would have did it the right way.
We grew up around livestock. Your
Yeah,
Honor.
or if he would have called the cops or, but
Okay.
that was a horrible, horrible crime. And I mean, some people don't think it's a crime, but I do. And she was over there and understand that was his property to do, but I just know, I feel like,
So can I ask you, before that happened to your dog, had you ever seen Mr. Hudspeth come out waving his handguns around?
I never
pointing them at
seen him
your
come out
property?
waving his handguns, but I've heard him argue with other neighbors,
Okay,
scream and holler with other
all
neighbors.
right. So
And his wife too.
Let me turn to Mr. Deal then, before I turn to Mr. Hudspeth. Anything else?
I've heard the conversation with the neighbor in between us a couple of months before this, where he said that if any dog got onto his property, that he would shoot it in the head. I've heard him had a conversation with the neighbor in between us about that. Also, we've had 3 altercations where the cops have been called in our situation right here, right now. And
Since-
all 3 altercations that the cops have been called, his wife has never been home. She's never been there or anywhere around. So I don't know how she could even be.
Because
Like,
same way I
witness.
was, Marcus.
Okay.
We'll find out. We'll find out. All
Okay.
right. Okay, so Mr. Hudspeth, I'd like to turn to you. And of course,
I have to say the dad seems really reasonable to me. The way that he said and the way he's calming that situation down. I have to think that, I don't know. I got a reasonable vibe there, you know? Sometimes you get a bad vibe, but I didn't get a bad vibe. I got traumatized, angry, reasonable. That's my assessment. I can imagine that if you love your animal and your pet, and then this happens, anything this person does afterwards might feel very offensive. But it doesn't mean that it is. And nothing on the other guy's farm was killed. The pig had minor injuries, supposedly. But we're going to hear from them. Let's hear what they say.
Yes, Your
there's
Honor.
any point that you want me to hear from your wife, that's fine too, but I'd like to hear from you first about all these allegations. You know, I've got a picture here and it's going to be really, I can't really put it up to the camera, but Mr. Wilsford.
And they acknowledge that. I think the issue is how they dispose of the dog. I think if there's such a serious situation, you have to use, he already has a handgun. So don't you go and you take the dog and you shoot it? Right? I'm not saying he shouldn't have killed the dog. And they aren't either. But they are saying that he did it deliberately in a not very nice way. How do you get close enough to a dog to slit its throat and it be unsafe? Like, to me, it seems like you'd want to take care of that situation with a handgun that you have at the ready, or a long gun, or whatever they're called. I think it matters because it shows intent and the seriousness of the situation. But let's listen. Let's see. I am often wrong.
Has helped me get a better understanding of where everybody's situated. And why don't you tell me your response to this request for this order?
Okay, here's the drawing of the property line.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Our house to their house is 1,000 feet away,
About.
Okay,
and there's no line of sight between our houses. There's a big tree on the fence line there blocking the trailer of the camper trailer and most of the house. And the trailer, they can't see always through what I have. And about the pistol that the cops came to several times to receive, no, Officer Port came and took both the rifles and my 9 at the same time. So there is no other guns.
Your Honor, I'm just pointing to where he's talking about the
so
trailer.
I'm
where
just
he's
gonna
at.
hear from Mr. Hudspeth for now, and then if we're
I'm
gonna
sorry,
hear from
I'm
you,
sorry.
just one person at a time.
I'm
So
pointing
Mr.
where you were talking
Hudspeth,
about.
so I appreciate that you're helping me out with this. So, and she can be your, AV
Yeah.
person, but I just want to hear from you.
Yeah, because
Right.
you're not fucking saying.
All right, so you believe that they couldn't have seen you with your from their area, from their house.
No, Your Honor.
So what else would you like to say?
Uh, No gun. I had no guns at all. The gun is locked in the safe in our master bedroom. And that master bedroom is locked because of our kids.
Okay,
What did you have?
All I had on that day where they say I had a weapon is I was working on my son's trailer. I had an impact wrench, a cordless drill, and a tape measure.
You had your holster on.
I had,
so I really need,
and they say
Ms.
Eh,
Cheeseman, I don't want you telling him what to
Yeah.
say. You'll have a
Yeah.
chance, but he has to
And
speak,
I'm
not
not-
you.
and
So,
his
Mr.
friend says-
Hudspeth,
his friend says, Marcus said, I had my holster on my left side. I am right-handed, Your Honor. My holster would have been on the right. And when I have a 4-year-old, I'm a combat vet. I know how to use weapons and I know when not to. And I use my weapons for slaughtering my animals. And I have my 19-year-old son witness too. I was working on the trailer with cordless tools.
all right,
And Marcus was outside. He wasn't, if he was saying where he was at, he could not possibly see that I had a gun on me because he was out by the main road in line of sight. And my 11-year-old, my 4-year-old, and my 19-year-old were right there. And I was working on the trailer right there. With,
so did this claim that you were out for about 10 to 30 minutes with your handgun, what do you say to that?
it's all lies.
So it
It's one-
didn't happen,
It didn't happen.
okay? And then what about at the fence with Mr. Deal? Anything about that you want to comment on?
Okay, yes, when I work on my fence lines, I have my boys start recording. So stuff like this, I have it all on recording, and when he spit in my face, I was already on with 911.
So tell me what happened at the fence line that day, from your point of view.
Okay, we went over there because we got a busted post. So I was gonna put a metal post in and take picture and video because the black plastic that's right on the fence so my cows can pull it. And then there's garbage on there and used condoms on the property on my side of the fence.
So what happened that day is what I wonder.
And then we got ready to leave because I needed to get a fence post. The cows start going to the garbage and we were still recording. Then Marcus came out of his camper and confronted. And then he got hostile when
What
he
does that
said
mean, confronted? What does that mean? What
he
happened?
got up onto the fence line. It's
Okay.
all on video.
You tell me what happened. I don't care that it's on
Oh.
video. Tell me what happened.
Okay. He came out and started the arguments and got up to the fence line, and I went up to the fence line. And I was already on the phone with 911 when he spit the loogie and 911 dispatch said
So what was the argument? What did Mr.
About
Deal
the-
say to you?
Boundary.
about the boundary of the fence line. He said
Okay.
it's their fence line. And he just kept going and going. And then when he spit in my face, that's when I said I was gonna go get my gun. And the 911 dispatcher said, "Where's your gun at?" I said, "It's in the house, in the safe, and my wife is in the house."
Why did you say you were gonna go get your gun?
Because he spit a loogie right in my face.
All
And that's
right, so
assault.
there's,
You were angry.
is there a
Now I
fence
was angry.
between you? Was there a
Huh?
fence between you?
He was standing up on a gate leaning over my fence line into my face.
Okay,
We have it all on recordings too, ma'am.
I don't care that you have recordings. For me, I want to
Yeah.
hear from you.
And so,
So you said,
then-
I'm gonna go get my
and
gun.
then that's when the 911 dispatcher said, "Go to the gate and wait."
Okay,
So I
so
did.
the 911 dispatcher drew you away from the situation.
Yeah.
And then, all right, and I mean, it's not nice to be spit at, but did you believe you were in mortal danger?
He's a known druggie,
You
and I don't
believe
know
you
what
were
he
in
has.
mortal danger?
Yeah.
Yes,
Why?
he could have some, a disease. He, the neighborhood here, we all know that he's a drug
So were there
user.
any particular threats made against your property or you in that situation?
After I left, my my 19-year-old and my 11-year-old was still there. Marcus was cussing at my 11-year-old, called him a retarded bee, go back to school, and he was waving his cane at 11-year-old. It's all on video, Your Honor.
Stop saying that.
All right, so again, Ms. Cheeseman, stop talking. I'm talking to Mr. Hudspeth. You are not testifying. I need Mr. Hudspeth to testify. If he calls you as a witness, I'll hear from you, but please keep
Sorry.
your peace. So, all right, so there's this argument and you felt you were assaulted, so you threatened to go get your gun, 911 that, and 911 told you
Yep.
to step away from that.
Yes,
And then, all right.
and I left from that area. I was 500 feet away from that fence line at my main gate, waiting for the officers.
All right. And I do see that you did surrender three firearms, one 9mm and two Marlin Model 60s, 22s.
No, just 122 Marlin.
Just one. Oh, item number two, just one. So two firearms were surrendered.
Yes,
All right, and those are all of your firearms?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, and the sheriff says on August 28th, they were found in the safe.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that because did the sheriff go with you to your safe?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right,
He went in the room with me. I got the key. I unlocked it and stepped back, and he went and opened it and took out the firearms himself.
okay.
And then we went outside to the vehicle, and then he asked me what was going on, and I told him.
Okay. All right, so let's see if I have other questions of you. So Mr. Deal testified that you threatened to slit his throat as you did his dog and shoot him in the head.
No,
What's
ma'am, that was never said.
Okay. Have you ever done that in the past that he may be conflating
Nope.
with it?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Just give me a moment to look at all the information I have here before we go
and-
farther.
Oh, okay.
Okay, anything else you'd wanted to say or?
Yes, ma'am. Their pit bull, I have a witness in the back. He wrote a statement in that their pit was attacking. I have two pigs. One is a Yorkshire that's in my front pasture, which they keep looking at and saying, "No, he's not hurt." We have a Cooney pig, which is our pet pig. That's the one that the pit attacked and was latching on over a half hour time I got out there. And my wife wouldn't let me take my gun out there. So all I had was a pocket knife to wrestle with the pig, and the pit bull kept latching on, not letting go of the pig.
All right.
And the
so
witness,
the question that you
Sam,
went-
yes, Sam watched the pig, the dog that latched on the pig from the barn to where I had to put the dog down because the dog was turning on me too. So, and I'm not going to wrestle with the pig and a dog with a gun.
All right.
So my life
But
was in
you said
danger
your
too.
wife wouldn't let you take the firearm out?
Yes, ma'am. She wouldn't let me take it out.
Okay, is there anything else, Mr. Hudspeth, or do you want me to hear from your wife?
And no,
Relevant
under
information?
no, ma'am, that's it.
Nope.
Yep, now want my wife as a witness.
Well,
Okay.
right, so need to see her. All right, Ms. Cheeseman, we put you under oath already. I need to know what you saw, what you observed, what you know from personal knowledge, not what you heard from somebody else.
Yeah.
So this situation, anything?
So just going back first to the day when Royal had to go out and was called out by one of our neighbors. I heard him take a call. He said that Cooney is being attacked. He said he went to go towards the safe. I said, absolutely not. We have neighbors that I don't trust, that they're going to see you with this gun going outside. And I'm glad he didn't. In that, like, he didn't weaponize this narrative that he's always running around outside with a gun, first of all. But he did have the pocket knife off on him. I didn't anticipate, me personally, what he had to do next. He didn't come back into the house for nearly an hour. From the time he left and came back, when he came back, he told me about the struggle he had. He was so distraught that it took actually weeks before I got enough details to actually understand what happened.
What he looked like when he came back after an hour?
He looked sweaty. He looked really upset, tired. Sometimes when I talk to him, because he has post-traumatic stress disorder related to his combat service. And so sometimes when he gets into heightened stress, there's a period of time where it takes a while for things to go back into place where I can actually understand what he's saying, which is why right now he's under a lot of stress. And I was just worried he wasn't answering your question. So I want to apologize right away. You're right. I shouldn't have been speaking, but like I could see some of that happening when I was visually watching him, just the amount of stress. I know that he went right back outside right away because he had to take the, we put it in the water. It's like sugar and salt. Essentially, it helps perk animals up when they're under stress. We put that in the water because Cooney was really lethargic afterwards, as you can imagine, really tired. Even for weeks afterward or days afterwards, we were me and my children bringing out fresh nuts and fruit to try to get the pig to perk back up. While he didn't sustain huge injuries, they never asked about our pig. They never called us. They never reached out to me. Never, not once. And to be very clear, I would have really appreciated a call. I think all of this could have just been absolutely avoided by just being curious about what happened on our property and asking, if not with us, just asking our neighbors. Our neighbor behind us saw everything that happened. He called us to help us get our pig unattacked by their dog. They don't know what happened because they never asked us what happened, and they don't want to even know what happened.
So
and we've been friends for years.
Do you have any other information about some of these other instances?
They don't have any line of sight from what they're talking about. This is my property.
So
this is my property.
Mr. Deal
under
was
my
at
name.
the fence. Mr. Deal is at the fence with your husband. Do you have any personal knowledge of that other than what you may have heard?
My kids came back traumatized from that fence line. They were absolutely horrified that another adult. I was in the house. They came
but you
to
weren't
me.
Witnessing. Yeah,
No. I'm just telling you what my children told me afterwards.
No, I won't hear that because that's not. I can't discuss it with them. I can't cross-examine them. You're the one. So yeah, I need what you know from your personal knowledge.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Mr. Wilsford did the same. He understood that he didn't have any personal knowledge. He kept it circumspect to what he knew and observed from his own ability to know, not someone else telling.
The children are not 7 and 8. They're 4, 12, and 19 at the time.
So anything about 2 days after the reported argument at the fence, this idea that were you there or have any personal knowledge of your husband with a handgun outside your house?
My husband was doing a building project. We were weatherizing the trailer. period. The gun is not allowed out of the house or out. I literally locked that door, my bedroom door, and I'm the only one with the key unless I give it to him. And I surrendered it to him so he could surrender the guns to the police officer.
Right.
And I lock that door every morning.
All right. Anything else, Ms. Cheeseman?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. I'm just gonna ask Mr. Hudspeth, if I can spin the camera there.
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Hudspeth, anything else?
No, ma'am.
Okay, Ms. Wilsford, anything else?
Yes, the reason I did not contact them, I was told by the law.
I think I know that. Yeah,
Yes,
you testified
We
to
were
that.
all
Is there
told not to
anything
talk.
else?
we were all
Period.
told,
Yeah, I heard that earlier.
and that's the reason why, and I did
The law
want to call.
enforcement advised against it.
Yes.
All right. Mr. Deal, anything else about this?
Yes, he says there's no way that I could have seen the gun. Me and him have never had a discussion about his gun. I never knew what guns he had up until I saw it a couple weeks ago. I never knew what kind of gun that man had until I saw it in his hands.
Okay.
So how did I know he had a 9 if I never saw it?
All right. Well, all right. We got a couple of petitions here against Mr. Hudspeth, and I'm finding I will issue an order protecting Mr. Deal from Mr. Hudspeth. Ms. Wilsford, I'm not denying anyone here went through some real trauma here. However, I have to find, was there, directed with the intent to harass, and I don't find any of that. You certainly came out of your house and you saw Mr. Hudspeth, not sure if he saw you, couldn't say that in fact what he was doing was directed at you in any way.
Yeah.
So there's just not, I'm not saying that you weren't feeling harassed, I'm just saying that the law doesn't support an order based
Yes,
on that.
ma'am.
However, the contacts, Mr. Hudspeth, between you and Mr. Deal, I do see that that especially kind of piped up its credible evidence from the fence there and that discussion and those threats following closely on what happened to the dog. And your activities with a handgun that's a very good point made. We do have the evidence from the sheriff's office, as I said, what was surrendered, and it matches up with what was seen. So, all right, so this is the deal. So Mr. Hudspeth, the person that you have to stay away from is Mr. Deal. Obviously, I think this whole discussion has been really instructive. That unfortunately, it sounds like there was a pretty good neighborly relationship. Maybe that can come back with Mr. Wilsford, maybe with Ms. Wilsford, but at this stage, no contact of any kind with Mr. Deal. And of course, Mr. Deal, you don't want to put yourself in a spot, that you would intentionally have contact with Mr. Hudspeth. So
Understand.
sharing, close properties, that you kind of have to take care of yourself in that way. But so, Mr. Hudspeth, this order is going to be in effect until September 9th of next year. And you can have contact with Mr. Wilsford, Ms. Wilsford, in a good and civil manner, a good neighborly way. We're going to hang on to those firearms that were confiscated by the sheriff. And once this case is all over with after a year, they can come back to you. I'm going to order that you don't possess any firearms going forward. That would be a violation of the law and would subject you to criminal prosecution if you do.
Yes, ma'am.
With this order. So, so I know you'd share a fence line. So what I'm going to say here is that you, let me get to that portion here. That you, that you simply stay away from Marcus Deal. You don't come onto his property. And I'm not going to do 1,000-foot distance exclusion. I don't think it's workable with these connected properties, but you stay away from him. You stay away from in particular, you don't enter or come onto his property. And that, and that's the Wilson's property too, so, there. You don't contact him through family, through friends, through social media in any way, just no contact with him at all. So let's see. Any questions, Mr. Hudspeth?
No, ma'am, I'll be filing paperwork tomorrow with the
Okay, so
court.
this will all
and-
be in the court file for you to get, and if you gave us an email address, do we email these out or no? Okay, we could also email this order out to you if you provided the court with an email.
Okay.
All right, so Mr. Deal, any questions?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna write this up and hand you a copy, Mr. Deal, since you're here. And Ms. Wilsford, anything?
I have another thing to say that the neighbor said,
So I'm not gonna take any more testimony.
Okay,
All right,
sorry.
we're done with that.
sorry,
That's okay, I understand. There's
Thank
a
you
lot
for
of
your-
emotion here.
thank you for your time, ma'am.
So let me get all this written up and get this to Mr. Deal, and then
Thank you.
Mr. Hudspeth, you can be on your way as well.
It's lunchtime.
Is just going to make paperwork, do all the paperwork. I'm sure nobody was really happy with that outcome, although what I think got him in the end was indeed him admitting that he wanted to go back and get his pew-pew from the house while on the phone with 911. That was, I think, the downfall there. And I know we can all agree to disagree, and we learn that, they weren't on trial for what they did to the dog. That wasn't the case. It was about that, but the judge made sure to keep straight all that different kind of stuff. I think if he had a lawyer, his lawyer probably would have had him not react the same way, or, not talked that way. Anyways, regardless, it's now dinner time for me. What am I gonna eat? I think onion rings? I don't know. I'll figure it out. I hope that you guys had a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for being here. It is so nice to hang out with you guys in the evenings. We do it every night. Tomorrow's Thursday. And we'll have more. Oh, grilled cheese is a good idea. Bill, that's a good idea. Thank you, MB. I'm glad that you all made it here. Remember that I love you. I'm proud of you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.
Ways down and ready to ride.